Hey, so I was talking to a guy in the steam room. He was definitely like way younger than me. I thought he was in his 20s, but it was steamy. So we got to talking and just about things we noticed. And he seemed like a really sharp guy. He was really nice and friendly and didn't mind me asking him questions and talking to him right before the gym closed. And so I just said, you sound real smart and like you're a thinker. So I was like, you sound like a writer to me. And I was telling him how it took me to into my 40s before I really felt like I was a writer. I really didn't start writing much until Trump came around. That's 2015. That's 10 years ago. So I was 40 on the nose. And then there might have been a post here or there that I thought was thoughtful or something like that. But I never thought of myself that. I remember English class having like writing about censorship or marijuana legalization, all the stuff you write about in, junior, senior year. And then I only got an associate in arts, so it's not like I went on and could have been like into, some liberal arts degree like creative writing or English or something like that. So I never really thought I was that guy. And then my ex-girlfriend was just kind of like, hey, your writing's pretty good. I like what you have to say. And she's a writer. So I thought, all right, it took someone on the outside saying it to me to make me believe it or see it. And then having that validation from her made me say, oh yeah, well, look at this, and then you get the hearts and stuff and people liked what you had to say. And then again, the reason I mentioned Trump was that when Trump came around, it was such a shocking wake-up thing, all the demagoguery. And so I thought, gosh, this is compelling. There's so much at stake now. And this is deception and propaganda. And so I was incensed and I was awoken, and a sense of patriotism was awoken in me that I didn't think I had, because I thought patriotism was just, like being a soldier or saluting the flag or being behind whatever policies the nation was for. So I really had this kind of two-dimensional version of it. Like, all those things can be patriotic, obviously, but there's other ways to, speaking out against injustice and whatever. So there's myriad ways to be a patriot. And so for me, I found writing against Trump was one of the forms that I found myself as a writer and as a political thinker and person, and someone who would want to be an activist eventually, or maybe even hold office, who knows. So I became a writer like that. I just started writing on Facebook, that was all it was. And then writing about life or a romance or a relationship or an insight or a book or a song or whatever just popped in there. And so that was cool. That was 10 years ago. And then I got on Substack, where you can kind of have your own little website and page, and it's as if you're a self-publisher. You can even get paid subscribers. Yay. But again, I just almost by chance became a writer in that way. And he and I were talking about what we were noticing in the culture and so much change, or that the economy seems to be trying to like addict us instead of provide us with products. And so he had some really salient insights, and it was fun talking to him. So it dawned on me as I was leaving the gym that, as I was telling him in the conversation a little bit, what is it that we write for? And I say, well, get those ideas down, write it down, record yourself like I do, or share it with somebody or whatever. And so it's a great way to organize your thoughts and opinions and things you notice. But I think I wanted to tie it together with the other insight I was sharing. Whoa, that was a huge lightning strike. Wow. The idea was that I became a writer when things got political, when things started to matter and there were stakes in the political process. And the things I think about that demagoguery and propaganda that comes out of the right, I'm saying, wait a second, these guys are trying to mess with my capacity to tell what's real now. pretending like the Biden stole the election and all that type of stuff. So that's real propagandizing. That's real psyop stuff. So what I'm finding, and maybe what I found there and then, was that I had to write. I didn't just write like, hey everybody, I think this cool thing. You know, I was really like, wait a second, this is, let's chase this thought down. Let's let this come out of me. Let's inspect this and follow this trail and see where it leads. Like, I wasn't writing a thing so much as I was letting it write itself. And that might sound cheesy or whatever, but that's actually true. Sometimes I'll just get an insight and then I'll just start writing and it just writes. I'm not saying, hey, I'm going to write this 2-page thing or something. Like, I know what it's going to say, or I wrote an outline or anything like that. Now, people that write like that maybe make money at it or something, but I just let the trail lead me where it goes, and I like that, and that's kind of how I do it on these two. But I'm a better writer than I am a speaker, unless I'm speaking something that I've already written. I'm a good orator, but off the top of my head, there's a lot of ums and uhs and stuff. So I think I have to write now. So I write to manage my capacity to perceive reality. I write in order to fight against those forces that want me to believe that which is not true, or want me to not know what to believe, or how to think, or how to use critical thinking, or how to express myself, or that not want to speak up. I am doing writing as an exercise, as well as, you know, wanting to get subscribers or paid subscribers or what have you. I do it to exercise my thinking apparatus in the same way that racquetball would exercise my body and my hand-eye coordination, or that yoga gives me neurological regulation and stretches my body out. Like, it is a thing that's waiting there to be used, and it couldn't be more important. If we have, you know, an amazing physique, but we don't know how to think, what good is that? Who is that helping? So I really thought that was a neat insight, because that kid at 30 was real earnest and nice, and, you know, you could tell he was a thinker, and he was like me. And somebody told him 10 years earlier or more than somebody told me that he was a writer, and maybe now he is. And so it felt nice to think that I saw the need there and just did it, you know, imposed my will in a way that really wasn't very imposing, because he can just be like, no, I'm not a writer. But there's no harm in that. That's almost like saying, hey, you're a nice person, or nice t-shirt. It's not really imposing. I just noticed that not everybody's like that, and it's okay. You don't have to be a writer. Like, I love actors and wish I could do acting, and I'm not as good at it. Or I love singers, you know, but I don't sing very well. I just don't. And so it's okay if we're not all good at everything, and we have specialization. And writing is more like thinking, you know, in a certain way, and being a detective. I feel like, what's going on here? How come this thing's happening? Why do these people say this? What's the connection between this and that? And I noticed that detective piece when I was, and I am a landscaper, but when I was first a landscaper in my first iteration of it, I would go to a yard and I would look at it and say, what the hell happened here? The grass is dead and patchy there, and it's brown here, and it's weedy there, and then this tree's not happy. And well, that didn't take too much to figure out. You learn about it. Oh, this isn't getting enough irrigation water. Oh, they're over fertilizing. Oh, it's got fungus. It's got some bugs on it. They're trimming and pruning wrong. The guy who cuts the lawn keeps hitting the tree trunk with his weed eater, and he's killing that tree. And so you become a detective, and then you say, well, I'm not just going to be a landscaping detective. As a realtor, I'm a real estate detective. Oh, well, how's this house going to do on the market without this curb appeal? Or how come, where'd they get the idea that it's worth that much? And how serious are they about selling? And then it's the same thing obviously in my writing or my workouts or my friendships or dating. So you end up being inquisitive and curious. Not everybody's curious. But all those characteristics play well together, so then you start writing and thinking, and you don't have to express it. Nobody's making you, but you feel compelled to after a while, and then you start to develop a voice that says, these are the things I believe in, or these are the things I'm curious about, or this makes me mad, I'm going to write about it, or I'm so sad about this event that happened in my life. Let me tell everybody about it, because they're sad about stuff too, and it'll make them feel like they've got license to write as well, license to feel, license to be curious. If I'm angry about the 2020 election, or Trump trying to overthrow the election, and I speak up about it, then somebody else can. So there's kind of a safety in numbers. You can be a little bit of a trailblazer for outspokenness and for questioning authority and so many things. And also you can really lose friends when you speak up against, again, when I say Trump, 50% of the people tell me to go fly a kite, and but that's my truth. He's the biggest danger to our nation right now. So I'm not going to pretend about that thing. Why would I do that? So it can be a little bit lonely too. And everybody's a writer. I mean, there's a lot of writers who are trying to either make money or get subscribers or get likes or whatever it is. So there's a lot to it. But it just seems like now, if I look back, I think, gosh, of course I'm a writer. It doesn't mean I'm a good writer or a successful writer, but of course I'm a writer. And it's funny in another sense too, because in high school, these were pretty good papers. That my censorship paper or marijuana legalization, like we were all writing, they were pretty good. And then in community college, I had a couple other pretty good ones, and it didn't catch. And there wasn't somebody there saying, keep doing this. And there wasn't a Facebook, and there wasn't a Substack or things like that. So it wasn't so, that part of me just went away or hid or was opinionated or pontificated or whatever he did to kind of stay around and came back. So I'm so glad that he comes out now, because it's just part of me now, and I can't unbe that. And hopefully that 30-year-old guy that I met at the gym today feels validated in those opinions, because the value isn't just people relating to what you say. It's the value is that people can have you help them to perceive too. Not only do I write so that I can exercise my capacity to perceive and to stake my boundaries and say, this is my brain. No, that didn't happen. That's not how that went. Or this is what I feel. And so it's like kind of staking the boundaries of my humanity. But it's showing others that they can do that too. And you're also, through your writing, showing them how to think. And of course, you could be a bad writer or a deceptive writer and showing them how to misunderstand. Someone like Ann Coulter or Dinesh D'Souza in my Liberal Eyes. These people will teach you how to not think, or how to think incorrectly. So if there's going to be those guys, there has to be guys that stand up and say the truth. And especially in a time where you can't. Some people feel like they can't speak up, or they might get deported, or they get thrown in the gulag or whatever. Having the willingness and the capacity to face those fears emboldens others to do the same. If we're going to stay a free country, we have to keep exercising our freedoms, not just talking about them, but using them to prove it, to keep that muscle, that freedom muscle going too. It's got to be real. So that's my little thing on writing, and it was a kind of a cool moment today to have some of those realizations.